this decade, and it may be for quite a while, as we're seeing that when the pressure's off, the enemy arises, willing to behead on TV and anxious to kill on large scale elsewhere. So things happen to you in your life that you don't want to have happen to you. Sure, it's happened to you already. And that's the challenge of life. It's how you deal with it, not whether you're not, you say, why me? The question is, when it happens, can you rise to the occasion to deal with it? And certainly that's the case with the presidency. I'm in a room touting educational excellence through strong accountability measures. My attitude is, how do you know whether a child can read unless you measure? You don't want to guess on something as fundamental as literacy, for example, or math literacy. You don't want to hope for the best. You want to know. And so we're touting this accountability in a school there in Sarasota. I'd known the first plane hit the tower. I used to fly fighters here in Texas, and so I was aware of pilot error. I just couldn't imagine why a plane had flown into a building in New York. I didn't have much time to think about it because I was hustling in this classroom. I can't remember first grade or second grade. Anyway, it's a small classroom, full of press. So when you're the president, you don't travel alone. You're never alone. And there's a press corps. And so this child's reading to me, and Andy Card says, second plane is hit the second tower, America's under attack. My first reaction was, it was hot. Who in the hell did this? I guess it's because I was raised in Texas. It was like, damn it. That's the clean version. And then I watched the child reading to me. She's clueless of what's going on, which is the nature of the presidency in a way. People really, a lot of times, aren't aware of what's going on. Nevertheless, your job is the same, which is to protect people. I vowed then I would protect her and her family and her community and her country. And then the press started getting the phone call. It was eerie because it was like watching a silent movie. There was no ringers or buzzers or any of that. It was just these people getting a call. And I see them. Again, it's not a huge hall. It was a small hall. Or a small room. And the press has gotten the news I got. Look, I had been in crises before as governor of Texas. Nothing like this. But the lesson of crisis is pretty much the same. If you're leading and you're in a crisis, it's essential that you project calm. If not, and people are following you, you create a psychological tsunami. And so I waited for an appropriate moment to leave a crowded classroom. I didn't want to start with kids, and so I left. I walked, the second lesson of a crisis, you got to say something. In other words, you got to fill a void. People are now, so you projected calm, that's okay, but then they want to know, what are you going to do about it? Otherwise, that in itself, silence in itself will create panic. And so I walked into a classroom, I scribbled a statement. I'm sure it's at our library, I can't remember what I said, but I scribbled a statement and walked into a classroom of parents, none of whom had gotten the word that we had just gotten. And I said, America's under attack, and we're going to deal with it. It was an instructive moment because generally you're sealed, hermetically sealed under the president. There's not a lot of spontaneity, in this case, it was spontaneity because I saw the shock, the horror, the disbelief, the wonderment, the sadness of the American populace right there in that classroom. I mean, the expressions were instructive. And I got out of there because continuity of government became essential. And I'm speeding down the road, trying to get to Air Force One, and Condi calls me and said the plane is at the Pentagon. And I leaned back in that car, and here's the construct. First one was an accident, the second one was an attack, and the third one was a declaration of war. And I had become something I didn't want to be, a wartime president. During our debates in 2000, never was the question, if war hits American soil, how are you going to deal with it? How are you going to deal with your military? I vowed then that I would use every asset at our disposal within the law to protect the American people. I made a lot of tough decisions, some of which have come to light, many of which are being second-guessed and criticized. As the threats seem to have faded, there may be a reassessment now. But nevertheless, all of which were made with one thing in mind: protecting that young girl, her family, the community, and the country in which she lived.
Thank you for your leadership.